I'm Daoud Habib El Hamen. I'm the Wazir of Elodium Moorish Paradia Monte, Colorado. Let's address the elephant in the room. Recently, there were writs of affidavits, there were dismissal documents, and there was a subsequent video that was published to our Facebook website. All were sponsored by the government. All had the approval of the Dalil Aziz, and it was executed by me, the Wazir already. The incidents that were referred to in the affidavits have been an ongoing issue. Those incidents had been addressed time and time again with those individuals, and they chose not to heed the warning and the wisdom of the Dalil Aziz. We are a government that is led by our matriarchal council. There can never be a condition under which they feel unsafe, threatened, or pressured. And the conditions began to fester with certain individuals involved, and I couldn't allow that to happen as a Wazir already. I could not allow those individuals to make the matriarchs, whom it's our charge to save, feel uncomfortable. The incidents following the vote, the video that was published, that was a result of the announcement of two dismissals, one of the Consul General Kanye Bey, and the second was a dismissal of Chief Qazi Jermaine Bey. Consul General was not present at the meeting. The Chief Qazi came to the meeting late, and chaos ensued. It was suggested that I publish the video, the full-length video. To the individual that suggested that, how much abuse is enough? I don't want to subject my matriarchs to any further embarrassment. I don't want to subject any of the matriarchs that may be watching in any jurisdiction to feelings that they don't need to experience due to that video. The point was proven. That particular individual does not have control of their emotions. They are not operating in higher self. The matriarchal council, in their infinite wisdom, chose to remove these individuals. And again, as Wazir already of Elodium Moorish Paradia Monte, Colorado, I executed that. There are those that are hero worshiping. There are those that maybe have Stockholm syndrome of some type. To them, I would ask them to seek enlightenment, seek your higher self. I would ask them to ask their mothers, their consorts, their daughters, if they would condone that type of treatment. And if they can look at me with a straight face, well, they can't. If those individuals, after viewing that video, could honestly say that those individuals deserve to have their jobs and they deserve to go on serving the public, trying to uplift fallen humanity. I wouldn't have any words for that individual, because obviously they've taken leave of their senses. There's no individual in their right mind that could read the documents, view the video evidence, and come to the conclusion that those individuals have the best interests of the matriarchs in mind. They do not. Those individuals have their own egos, their own selfishness, their own pursuit of individual power in mind. Let's read a little bit of the Constitution. Article 2, Section 3, the Dalil Aziz shall introduce, vote on, and present to the Wazir al-Rey for signature any bill which passed through their body. Bills for consideration may be presented to the Dalil Aziz from within the body, from the Wazir al-Rey, and the Moorish nationals who are the body politic for the provincial government. The Dalil Aziz shall oversee and initiate, if necessary, impeachment proceedings for removal upon any executive, Dalil Aziz, or judicial officer who violates and abuses their powers in contradiction of this law of restoration. Now let's take a look at that. Let's put this into perspective. So for the chartered colony, the United corporate construct, they have the House and they have Congress. That's their legislative branch. The Dalil Aziz is a composite of the House and Senate. The Congress does not get to pick candidates for the Supreme Court. The president does that. But they do get to approve or disapprove of these selections. The House of Representatives also has impeachment powers over federal officials, including the president, which means that they can level charges against any elected official, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will oversee the proceedings as the Senate will try the case. If 2/3 find the person's guilty, they will then be removed from office. Well, let's put this into perspective for our purposes. Given that the Dalil Aziz is a composite of the House and the Senate, again, they have impeachment powers, right? Which means that they can level charges against any elected official, which is what I just read in the law of restoration, Article 2, Section 3. Now, it says here, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will oversee the proceedings. Therein lies the issue. Given that the charges were levied against our Chief Judge, how could he oversee proceedings into his own investigation? How could he oversee that? There's bias and impartiality. So we have to look at the Dalil Aziz having the composite of the House and the Senate, them having the power to levy the charges and investigate, and allowing the Seyaraha to oversee the proceedings. This is what was done. And again, I, as a Wazir al-Rey, was not privy to that meeting. We do not allow any patriarchs to oversee the Dalil Aziz and their workings. They are the lawgivers of our government, and they are allowed latitude to operate as such. The Dalil Aziz, at that time, came back with a unanimous decision to remove then Consul General Jermaine Bey and then Chief Qazi J. Bey. This is in accordance with the law of restoration, and it parallels what we have here with the chartered colonies legislative branch and their powers and how they process impeachments. As a side note, the previous chartered colony president, Donald Trump, simply just fired his attorney general. Now, his attorney general is a parallel to what we have as a consul general or the mufti. Now, when Trump fired his attorney general, there was no talk of so-called due process. There was no talk of any action to be taken because they understood that it was a job. Now, jobs, we all know that anyone can be fired at any time for cause. Well, in this particular state they can, and that separate corporate jurisdiction. If you're not performing up to your task, if you are doing whatever. In this particular jurisdiction, I went so far as to document all of the infractions that the person was let go for. As I warned before at the beginning of my term, I don't fire anyone. You fire yourself. I simply fill out the paperwork. And this held true. The paperwork was processed. It was given to the Dalil Aziz. They went through their process of reading, understanding what the case was, understanding where we were as far as our government operations, and they came back with a decision, as is their right, because they have general oversight over the government. Okay. Article 3, Section 6. And this is the article that deals solely with the Qazi and to rule all. So we're going to read Article 3, Section 6, which states, in the event the office of the Head Qazi is vacated by either resignation, impeachment, incapacity, or death, the following protocols apply. In the case of resignation in the case of resignation and impeachment, the Head Qazi shall have 30 days to finalize any and all pending matters requiring their attention. The 30-day period can be reduced to immediate dismissal with the approval of the Wazir al-Ray and Seyaraha. A new Head Qazi shall be chosen by the remaining Qazi after a new Qazi is chosen with the Wazir al-Ray and Dalil Aziz approval. So let's stop there. This last sentence, the 30-day period can be reduced to immediate dismissal with the approval of the Wazir al-Ray and the Seyaraha. So again, we have directions that we followed. The Dalil Aziz brought forth a decision. They voted on it. They passed that decision to the Seyaraha. The Seyaraha then gave me that vote. I read it, agreed with it, wrote the paperwork out, and we both agreed that it needed to be an immediate dismissal, given the severity of the charges that were levied against the Chief Qazi and the sensitivity that needed to be used because of some of the affidavits that had been filled out and some of the pressures that were being felt by individuals who had come forward and exposed themselves to scrutiny. And there you have it. That was a decision that was made by Elodium Moorish Paradium Monte, Colorado, their Dalil Aziz Council, the Seyaraha, and carried out by me, Daoud Habib El Amen. Islam Moors. Thank you for watching.